In 410 AD, the Eternal City fell. Visigoth mercenaries breached the walls of Rome, leaving a millennium of imperial invincibility in ashes. For centuries, the Greco-Roman world operated on a singular political assumption. The state was the vehicle for human virtue. To be a perfect citizen was to reach the height of moral achievement. The ruins of the Roman Forum represent more than broken stone. They represent the collapse of that classical order. The failure of the state to protect its own people shattered the philosophical foundation of the ancient world. Seeking a scapegoat, the surviving Roman elite pointed at Christianity. The accusation was direct. By abandoning the old pagan gods for this new faith, the empire had lost its strength and invited its own destruction. A North African bishop named Augustine stepped into this crisis. He wasn't there to apologize for the ruins. He authored a worldview where the fall of Rome was inevitable. Instead of excusing the collapse, he used it to prove that all human empires are destined for failure. This panel illustrates his direct response. The text, The City of God, written to address the specific trauma of 410 AD. While the work is vast, his most critical political arguments regarding church and state are concentrated in Book 19, Chapter 17. Augustine discarded the classical model. He replaced it with a framework built entirely on the theological doctrine of original sin. Because human nature is corrupted, human institutions cannot be seen as mechanisms for moral growth or perfection. The state is stripped of its virtuous aura. It is reduced to a strictly pragmatic tool, a temporary measure designed to ensure basic physical survival in a broken world. To understand medieval political theory, one must abandon the idea of the virtuous state and look instead at Augustine's true organizing principle, the object of a society's love. This diagram maps out his theological axiom, the two cities. The city of heaven is defined by the love of God, carried to self-contempt. Opposing it is the city of earth, driven by the love of self, carried to the contempt of God. These are not literal empires with capitals. They are overlapping networks of human beings, existing side by side within the same physical spaces. Augustine argues that a valid society requires absolute righteousness, or perfect justice, as its foundation. By this definition, true society exists only within the city of God. Because the earthly city is rooted in self-love and pride, it remains incapable of achieving that standard of justice. This panel breaks down how this spiritual binary manifests in earthly institutions. Let's start with the state. Its core symbol is the sword. Its purpose is repressive, to maintain order and punish those who are intrinsically aberrant due to sin. The highest possible achievement of any government is merely earthly peace, establishing enough order to prevent humans from destroying one another. Then we have the institutional church. This is the spiritual authority on earth, acting as the vehicle for grace and salvation. This diagram addresses a historical trap, assuming the visible church on earth is identical to the perfect city of God. Augustine explicitly warns against this, using wheat and tares to show the church contains both sinners and saints. Mere membership does not guarantee salvation. Both visible institutions are compromised tools. The state manages the violent consequences of human corruption, while the visible church operates as a flawed hospital for sinners. These panels show how Augustine applies this view of human nature to social and economic realities. Take his stance on slavery. He argues that it is fundamentally unnatural, as humans were created to rule over beasts, not one another. Yet he justifies its existence politically. Because humanity fell into sin, slavery is permitted as a result of corruption and a harsh correction. We see the same logic applied to wealth and physical ownership. Augustine argues that property is not a divine right. It is a fiction created by human laws and human kings. Those human property laws are tolerated because they fulfill the state's primary function, preventing chaotic violence over resources by defining who owns what. In Augustine's architecture, social institutions do not exist to elevate human dignity. They act as necessary restraints placed on a diseased human nature. This structure maps onto every level of human existence, from the individual home to the cosmic horizon. At the foundation is the domestic piece of the family, scaling up to the organized city-state. It expands to the nation and ultimately to the universe itself. The invisible war between the two orientations of love is active across all four of these concentric levels simultaneously. Instead of a simple reactionary response to Rome's fall, Augustine provided a comprehensive topology of all creation under God. The Foundation of Justice panel delivers a final verdict: true justice is unreachable in a state that does not worship the true God. The Roman ideal of a morally perfect republic is dead. The state is merely a functional band-aid holding together a fallen world. As highlighted here, his work became a mine of ideas that both Catholics and Protestants would excavate for centuries.